just come back with me when I say we're done, so that we can just kind of recap. But
okay, yeah.
Now I've got all that at the start of the actual live podcast. So just so you know, everybody, we come back and we discuss how much we're happy that you guys visited us and made comments and stuff. So
Yeah.
just want to say hello, everyone. Getting the chance to talk today to Caitlin Johnson. She is of the Instagram fame around Austin here. Does some great stuff with local breweries, going and visiting them, highlighting them, as well as other things. Just was kind of commenting with her here recently. She has been out doing some day trips and overnight trips and stuff to some local bed and breakfasts or kind of small little areas that you can kind of enjoy traveling, since we can't travel the way we normally would want to. But Caitlin, why don't you go ahead and kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I've been living in Austin here for about like 3.5 years. I moved down here with Big World Small Girl blog, but since moving down here, there was so much more to cover and discover, like especially in Texas being such a big state. And our craft beer scene, I feel like I moved down right as it was kind of exploding. And so, yeah, it's been great having this blog and getting to know the city through my blog and through craft beer and local brewers. And I don't know, I love all the day trips I get to take around Texas, because there's a lot around just like Austin area that you can go either for a day trip or a quick weekend trip.
Nice. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Troy Schlicker, the host of this wonderful little live stream and soon-to-be podcast episode. I'm a real estate agent here in the Austin area. I've lived here for about 15 years. So speaking of that, so you said about 3 years ago, where did you move from?
I moved from Virginia.
Okay. And what brought you out to Texas? Was it kind of like a lot of other people, just kind of cost of living or weather or job, or just wanted a new experience? Or
yeah, it was a new experience. I was born and raised in like the same small town up in the Blue Ridge Mountains, Appalachia area. So I was born and raised in the same area. I knew I wanted to get out and be where exciting stuff was happening. And so during college, I traveled to a few different cities, such as New Orleans and Charlotte and Washington, D.C. And when I came to Austin, I like absolutely fell in love with it the first time. And I probably knew I was going to move to Austin 2 years before I did. Like I was planning and dreaming, and yeah, I just thought it was a great city, great food. And I love the weather.
Yeah. Even when it's 105, I'm originally from the Midwest. And so it's hotter than I would like it. I think anyone who's in Texas right now, it feels like it's hotter than they would like it. But when the alternate side of it is have winter where it's below freezing for months on end, I will take a little bit of extra heat for me personally any day of the week. So
that's exactly my thinking as well. So
nice. So and you said you had the Big World Small Girl blog prior to moving to Austin?
Yeah, it was just a simple like WordPress site where I kind of wrote about small little trips that I took around Virginia, and also just a place kind of where I use as almost like a photo journal for any other like big trips. Like I went to Mexico and Puerto Rico, and it's just something to like blog about and write about. And I didn't really take it seriously until I got down to Austin. I saw other bloggers, and yeah.
Nice. And so that's on the screen there. You can kind of go visit out the blog there. Also, she's on Instagram. Like I said, she got a lot of followers there. Unfortunately, Instagram kind of limits the name size. So it's I got to make sure and check the spelling there. Otherwise, I'm sure there's some other people that may pop up.
Or if you search Big World Small Girl with like spaces in the words, you'll find it.
The search will pop up that way. So Instagram's can be kind of funny from that standpoint. So have you always had a love of craft beer and stuff? I mean, obviously only since you've been 21, but have you always had kind of that, you've enjoyed craft beer and that kind of scene from that standpoint?
I would say it was something that definitely developed from my like love of travel. It was something that kind of kept me traveling. Like I don't know, in college I was drinking like Coors Light, and I thought I was drinking craft by drinking Blue Moon. But there was like one brewery in kind of like our neck of the woods in Virginia, and I started going there often, and then I wanted to explore and see what other breweries were like. So I would search breweries near me, and end up going on these day trips and seeing all these cute little towns and areas around Virginia. And then you take it bigger, and then you like plan trips to Europe, to Germany. Yeah. But yeah, so I think it's definitely been a process. I would say probably 4 years that I've been like serious about my passion about learning about craft beer and also just discovering craft beer and sharing that with others.
Very nice. Yeah. So, I mean, and like I say, it's always interesting to travel and experience other cultures and how they do things, differently, even though, right, like it's still beer. I haven't been to Germany, but I know other people who have, and it's most of them will say it's a different experience than having beer in the United States from that standpoint. And so it's amazing how things will change culturally or regionally depending on where you're at in the United States or in the world, and how that impacts things, but also then to be able to experience those things in those cultures, right? Like how awesome it is to see how unique we all are from that standpoint.
Yeah, and I feel like hanging out with, like, especially like food and beverage, like going to like a local restaurant or a local bar, a local brewery, like you really feel like you're hanging out in the neighborhood and hanging out with the people who live there, and you get a vibe and a feeling about it, and you talk to people. So that's kind of what I miss the most, but it's what I've always loved about traveling. And yeah,
no, it's been hard to not be able to travel at all. It's definitely a fun thing. One of the people that I get to travel with a lot, if it's internationally, we always really try to focus on not going to the touristy restaurant or the touristy place, and really trying to go and see, hey, if you talk to someone and say, hey, as a local, where would you go to do stuff? And fortunately, he speaks Spanish, so when we go to a lot of other countries, he can actually talk to someone local and find those places out and stuff. But it's so cool to, again, just get that vibe and get that sense of the culture in those different places, along with the foods they eat and the beer or other alcohol that they drink, wine and those kind of things from that standpoint.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So what on your travels, we'll probably break it down on your travels internationally, what would be maybe your top one or two spots that you've traveled to for beer specifically, and then potentially just as enjoyable travel spots, and maybe they're the same place?
Yeah. So overall, I would have to say like that goes to Prague in Czech Republic. I absolutely love that city. It's gorgeous, lots of history. It's compared to the rest of Europe, it's fairly inexpensive to, get around and have a good time. And they've got bars there that are hundreds of years old, a century old. And yeah, it's such a cool city and fun to get around. I've also been to Singapore. Is a really great city for like drinking scene and cocktails. And when I was there, I went to like a craft brewery Singapore has all those sky rises, or high rises. And I went to a brewery, it's called like Level 38 or Level 37, but it was like in 37th floor of a building that overlooked the Marina Bay. It was gorgeous. I think it was like the most I've ever paid for like a craft beer. It was like $16 US for like a half pint of like stouts. That's Singapore for you. But yeah, sure. Prague. Yeah, Prague's, I think, one of the best cities, especially for beer lovers.
Very nice. And then locally in the States, other than obviously like in Austin, what are some other places that you've been able to visit that have kind of stood out to you from that standpoint?
Yeah, I think if someone really likes history, Milwaukee's a good city to go to. They have the history of the Coors campus there, which, back in the day, that was almost like a Facebook campus. Like they had multiple buildings and there's tunnels underground where workers used to go. So there's a lot of cool history there. And then there's a really good local craft brewing scene that's really well established and really exciting. But Nashville is a really fun place to go as well. Their craft brewing scene is starting to, they've got some really good breweries there doing some good things. And also if you like bourbon and whiskey, it's another great place to go for that.
And Nashville, kind of like Austin, has just become a really popular, an up and coming kind of city where like you see a lot of young people moving to. It's, again, a little bit lower cost of living than like you had out or would have had in the DC area, or people living in the Northeast or California and stuff. And it's got a lot of things going for it from that standpoint. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and Nashville has a lot of cool, interesting, like very unique neighborhoods. They've got like an East Nashville that's almost like our East Austin, and they've got an area that's similar to South Congress for us with like little cute shops where all the bachelorette parties hang out. So yeah, it's a cool place, and they've got a lot of live music too, just like Austin.
Yeah, exactly. A little more of the country than we have here, but still a lot of good stuff overall from that standpoint. Well, one of the main reasons I wanted to bring Caitlin on was obviously as we've been going through all these shelter in place orders and just kind of the craziness of the last few months. One of the big things that I've wanted to try to do is help support local businesses even more than normal. As a realtor, you deal a lot with local people and local businesses and stuff anyway, but it's an opportunity to kind of maybe highlight some local breweries that she likes, and also ones that we can all support to kind of, again, help our local economy, help our local businesses. And so yeah, why don't you kind of start from there? Like what are some of the maybe local breweries that you've enjoyed? And again, I mean, there's fortunately or unfortunately, there's so many of them we're not going to be able to name anywhere close to all of them.
Yeah.
It's nice that we have that much variety, but unfortunately, some people will get left out from that standpoint. But why don't you highlight a couple that maybe have been cool for you and you would recommend people kind of checking out that way?
Yeah, so one of the favorites that I've been going to a lot, if I've wanted to hang out like at the place, has been Hop Squad Brewing up in North Austin a little bit. They've been super safe. They've followed all the COVID regulations and then gone above and beyond. And they're one of the newer breweries, so they really need the support right now because, I mean, opening a brewery in Austin is really hard. There's a lot of weird like city regulations and bylaws or whatever. So like they had a lot of hurdles when it comes to that. So then they finally opened. They started getting some, momentum going.
Traction, yeah.
Yeah, and so they've done everything. Like their employees are following all the regulations. They've got a great like Asian food truck right on site. And then two, if you're interested in soccer, you can hang out in their tap room and see all the progress that's being made on the new soccer stadium, which is a lot.
Yes, it's coming along very quickly for sure.
Yeah, they got perfect views of it too.
Do you know, for them, do they have any of their beers in any of the local stores, HEBs, and some of those kind of places, or the ability to? I'm assuming for probably the ability at least to purchase there at their location.
Yeah, so that's the thing too about this brewery. They really they're not distributing to grocery stores or even to restaurants. But you can order online and you can go pick up at their tap room, I think almost every day of the week. They have crowlers and 6-packs, and you can get growler fills of all their beers, which they have a long list of great beers. A lot of good ones to enjoy on hot summer days. But yeah, I mean, you can place it online, go and pick it up, and it's almost nearly contactless. So that's pretty much the only way. You have to go to their tap room to get their beer. So
cool. So I'm going to put Caitlin on the spot because what I'm going to recommend, since I'm sure people may not catch all the breweries right away, is that on her website, which we have listed there, she'll make sure and have a list of what we're talking about when we're done. So I recommend going to the site. So that way, if you heard of some place that sounded interesting, you'll be able to find it there and kind of show the support and stuff from that standpoint. So
yeah, I've got like a long brewery list, and it's all sorted by neighborhood too. So that way you can kind of, I don't know, still brewery hop the new way, place all your online orders, and then in the afternoon go pick them all up from all the different breweries.
Yeah. Well, so what part of town do you live in?
So I live up in it's a little bit south of the Domain, so like north central Austin. Yeah.
So they're right in kind of your neighborhood from that standpoint.
Yeah, yeah.
That's nice.
All those nice North Austin breweries, and I'm right on the Metro line too, which is nice. I can jump down to the East Austin breweries. So
very quickly, there you go.
Yeah.
So what would maybe be one of your choices in that East Austin area that you kind of recommend checking out?
I definitely enjoy Blue Owl. If you enjoy sour beers, they're a really great place to. Another great place to. Oh, are you there? Okay,
yeah,
I thought Okay, so no, Blue Owl Brewing, they're a really great place. Normally, I don't think their tap room's open right now, but you can still place orders online, and they've got a long list of great sour beers. But they're also available in HEB, in all like gas stations. They're pretty popular around town. But if you're looking for a good place to hang out, Lazarus Brewing, they have a really nice patio area. It's dog friendly, very well spaced out. And along with great beer, they also have really delicious tacos. So
that's, I mean, again, drinking and food go very much hand in hand. So it's always good to have some good Austin food to go along with it.
Definitely.
So what about for those of us that live more West Austin? So I'm out kind of the River Place, 4 Points area and stuff. There's not really going to be any brand new stuff there. I know there's some breweries kind of as you go towards Lakeway, obviously as you go up towards Cedar Park and stuff. What would be something out maybe in my neck of the woods that you'd potentially recommend?
Yeah, up towards Cedar Park, you've got Pine House Pizza up there. It's always great, place an order for some of their delicious pizza and delicious IPA and just go and pick it up, and it's super easy. You can bring it back for everyone. Cedar Park as well. Red Horn is a really great place. It's another kind of like Lazarus. It's like a coffee shop and brewery. So, you can hang out there in the morning and have some coffee. And then when it's afternoon time, switch to some of their beers. So
nice. And then can't forget about south of the river people. We know that, if you live south of the river, no one wants to come up north, and vice versa. We don't want to go down south very often either. So for those people, what would be a brewery or two down in kind of South Austin that pops out to you?
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 breweries in South Austin that, as someone who lives in North Austin, it's about the only thing that gets me south of the river. But that's St. Elmo Brewing Company. They've got such a great lineup of beer, very diverse selection. You can place an order online. They're another brewery that you can't really get in grocery stores, but you can place an order online, pick it up, or you can hang out there and have the beer there in like their patio, really super well spaced. Another great spot is Nomadic, and they're another new brewery that have opened, Nomadic Brewing. They've got a lot of great IPAs, and they've just launched like a new panini menu, so you can like grab a panini and a beer and hang out outside and enjoy both.
Very nice. Yeah. No, I mean, with St. Elmo's, they also have, they don't have, but it's a really cool little area that they're in as well too, because there's a whiskey area there and some other stuff that's pretty fun and entertaining from that standpoint. Do you, as far as maybe getting a little bit further outside of Austin, what are there some places that you have or would kind of travel to in day trips or half day trips in the area that kind of stand out?
Oh yeah, definitely out towards like Dripping Springs or Driftwood area. Head out to Jester King, Treaty Oak, Beerberg Brewing. Those are all great places for some beer and also as food. And Jester King, they're doing phenomenal things right now to keep safe and keep their employees and visitors safe. And it's best to make a reservation, I think, going out there. But they've got 5 or 6 different little areas around their property that you can hang out and really stay spaced around. And I think too, what's great about going out to Dripping Springs and Driftwood is you're getting that space, not just 6 feet of space, you're getting like 60
feet of space.
Yeah.
So you do on those, because they have a lot more real estate that they can deal with. It makes it easier to practice all the safe drinking. Safe distance drinking, I guess it would be. You can do that pretty easy, but at the same time, like you say, calling ahead can be nice because they are a little bit longer trips. You want to make sure they're the days that they may be open and what they potentially have in stock, because I'm sure that they go through some different stuff from time to time.
Yeah, and there's a lot, and too right now, just with how TABC is, there's a lot that's changing on a day-to-day basis. So even breweries, like, go to their social media or just give them a phone call to see. Breweries have been pretty good about keeping their social media updated with like the most recent information. So because things are changing.
Things are changing every day. So it's just one of those where you got to kind of play it one day at a time.
Yes.
From that standpoint. Cool. For most people, is it generally going to be going to the specific breweries' websites or contacting them directly? Are there if a beer is not in HEB or your Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, or something like that, or again, is there a centralized area for finding out about Austin beers other than, and maybe it's just going to your site? I'm assuming obviously you can't order beer from your site through those breweries and stuff, but do you have links to most of the different breweries and stuff that way so people can find them and then kind of check them out that way for an easy database?
I think it's good. Like I've got like a list with like their website and kind of their location, and it's kind of good because some breweries, they're smaller breweries and they might fall to the back of your mind, but going through that list can really, I don't know. We've got like 30 some breweries like in Austin area, so it's a lot, and it's okay to forget some. But yeah, you go to that website or go to my blog post that I have, and then go to the website, and they're pretty good about having like their menu or their COVID, like newest COVID rules, or like the front page now. And you just place a menu, I think, or you place the order through their online menu, which I think is like mostly been handled by, I think, a company called Toast. And I've done that dozens of times since March, and it's been super easy.
Nice. Yeah. It's it's kind of become the new norm for people as far as, everyone, if you haven't been Uber Eats or all those different kinds of things, like you're finding new ways to hopefully enjoy a lot of the same places that we were being able to go to previously from that standpoint.
Yeah.
Cool, very nice. So with Austin Beer, what is there any specific brewery that stands out to you as being, is it kind of just testing a bunch of different stuff? Is it I don't want to say you have a favorite, but do you have a type of beer, and then because of that, a brewery that tends to stand out for you as being one that you tend to frequent more often, or do you really just kind of try all the different ones just for the experience from that standpoint?
Yeah, I think there's some breweries that I really love to go to and just hang out at their tap rooms because I think they got great space, great employees, and they're just either that or like just personal friends of mine. But then there are some other local breweries that they're always putting out exciting new beers. And all those beers are just very delicious. They very rarely mess up or put out a bad beer. And so, yeah, it's a good balance of that. I think we have a lot of each in this category, or in both categories. But then there are also the breweries that have delicious food menus that, I mean, Pine House Pizza has incredible IPAs, but their pizza is what brings me out more.
Sure. That's what that's what most people like. They like the Pine House part, but they really love the pizza.
The pizza, yeah.
From that standpoint. So I know you also fairly recently started a podcast called 512 Brewed. And so for people that love beer and want to learn more about Austin Beer, on top of obviously going to the website, this is another great way to hear about updates as far as what you have been experiencing, I'm sure, in the beer world and the Austin beer world from that standpoint. So how's the podcast going?
Yeah, so that's something that me and one of my best friends, we launched way back at the beginning of May. We started almost as a quarantine project. The first several episodes are recorded by Zoom. Now we're recording in real life together. But yeah, it's been great. We've been reviewing a lot of beers, not just Austin beers, a lot of Texas beers, and a lot of really popular beers from across the country. We try to make sure they're beers that people can get in the Texas area one way or another. But yeah, we cover everything from old beer history to crazy new beer or new crazy craft beer news. And we always end each episode with a weird, unique story, which has been one of my favorite parts, or researching for the episode. But yeah, it's been going great. It's been a really good way to learn more about styles of beer and the process of beer, and learn the finer things about beer, because we like to research every episode and really, and really be well informed about it. So
it's forcing you to be more knowledgeable about something that you love already anyway. I'm sure it's very easy to research it and spend the time since it's something that you love, right? It's much easier than regular school.
Especially I get to do it with one of my good friends too. So
yes. Makes it very easy. Well, so for everyone, if you need to live vicariously through Caitlin, the Instagram is where to do it. She's, again, always got stories and posts up about the great beer she's drinking or the great places she's getting to visit from that standpoint. So I would definitely recommend checking her out on her Instagram and checking out the blog. Like I say, gives you a lot of great information about some local breweries. It gives you a chance to, if you like beer, to try and test out a lot of different things to change it up, as well as support some local businesses that we all know need that support. So that's awesome. But Caitlin, I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on Facebook with me today, and YouTube. Technically, we're on YouTube as well too. But I appreciate you taking the time to jump on with me and talking about beer. So it's I know it's a tough subject to talk about, but I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. It's a great time.
For sure. Appreciate it, everyone. You guys have a great day.
Bye.